Hello everyone, welcome to Beyond Film School where I teach you all about the film industry. I am Amber. It has been a while. I have not streamed in 2025 and I'm bringing back the resume review, so I'm very, very happy that you're here. If you are joining me, please let me know who you are, where you're joining me from. Also, I know there are people who are definitely like they want to join anonymously and I welcome that. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday, Happy New Year 2026. So today we have resume reviews, and I feel like this is the perfect time to do resume reviews because it's the new year. Let's fix some things. Let's improve. I refuse to say let's have some resolutions and all that stuff. I'm a daily or monthly, quarterly. I always have goals and things I want to do. So resolutions I don't truly kind of put all my weight into. So if you got goals and you're doing things, I'm a big advocate for you just doing things. So resume reviews. I have 4 reviews to do today, and they're all very different. They're all very different resumes, and I'm happy to bring them to you because I love doing this because when I like correcting, critiquing, analyzing, looking at resumes and giving feedback to people, because how often do you get to look at someone else's resume that is in your industry, in your profession, or your preferred profession, right? I think that we get out of college and we always get told, put together a resume, put a CV together, and then you are kind of stuck being like, what do I do? How do I put this together? What is it supposed to look like? And also, there is the lovely emergence of AI the last few years and it being more prevalent in the hiring process. But with the film industry, it's a little bit different. Your resume usually, most likely 9 times out of 10, is going to be put into the hands of a human being. So a lot of the things that you're going to get when you hear about resumes is how to have certain keywords, certain buzz things, results driven, things of that nature that should be on your resume. Now, if you are going to apply to a studio, like let's just say Netflix, or now I have to call Netflix a studio. Isn't that wild? I have to call Netflix a studio now because they're not just a streamer. So Lionsgate, or maybe an animation studio or something. If you're applying to like NBC, like the Page program or something, those things you're gonna need to have like a corporate resume. So these things are not going to apply to jobs like that. I'm talking about the resumes that's going to get into a person's hand that's like a producer, an AD, a director, stuff like that. They're going to get into a human being hand, and I think that they're very, very different, and they are very, very different. Very, very different resumes where you're going to have to, this type of resume that we're going to talk about is something that you need to appeal to the person's pleasure. Like make things aesthetically pleasing, easy to read, and that's not the same resume as a corporate resume and a resume that you're going to be applying when you know that an AI is like skimming it and taking things out, and whether or not you're going to get into the callback pile. So it's very, very different. These resumes are very, very different. But before we get to that, I want to talk about resume tips to remember. And I always have to say this because, new people are joining us. And then also some people forget, like, you get bogged down. And even if you have much experience, you have a lot of experience in the film industry, and you have lots of things to put on your resume, people forget the number one thing. And in America, I know it's different in some other countries. I think there are other countries, I think Serbia and a lot of Eastern European countries. I remember talking to a few people doing one-on-ones with them, and they mention how if you don't have a 4-page resume, then you are not qualified for certain jobs. So keeping in mind, this is for like American and or Canada. We are not trying to read a 4-page resume. We do not have the time. We're already overworked, guys. We cannot read multi-pages for a resume. So 1 page only, general rule of thumb, keep it to 1 page. Also, let's do them a favor. Let's not have them trying to get through it, and do yourself a favor, because here's what's happening. If you go past 1 page, there is no guarantee that they are actually going to get to the other pages. So whatever is on those the second, third, or fourth page, because I've actually gotten resumes where they were 5 pages long, 4 pages long. I'm not even kidding you. I've had people take my Set PA class and their resumes, people who are coming from other countries, having to assimilate to the culture, this is also like a shock to them. They're like, I have to get everything that I've ever done in my career on one page. Yes. So one page only. Definitely keep this rule in mind. Be nice to yourself. And be nice to the person who's reading your resume. So your resume is going to be you in a nutshell. And I think that people are like, well, duh, what else is it? But I think people forget that it's about you. And I always have to say this on 95% of the resumes that 95% of the resumes that I get or I see, I always have to tell them this is going to be like, this is not about the company you work for. And I think that's where we all kind of get obsessive, and we're like, oh, I need to make sure they knew that I worked for HBO. They knew I worked for Netflix. They knew I worked for Amazon Prime or whatever. So I think that they tend to put the company first, and that's not what people are looking for. When I'm hiring someone, I want to know the position. So the position is going to be the most important thing, really, on the leftmost side of the page. We can talk about that a little bit later when we get into the resumes. But it's you in a nutshell, meaning like what you did, what you were able to accomplish, what you learned, what you are doing, what you and your skills are bringing to the table for the person that wants to hire you, not necessarily the company you work for. Yes, definitely don't leave those things out. I want to know the company you work for, but let's not, get crazy with, yes, I work for HBO and it was the main thing you put on there. Some people I've even seen some people put like, they forget the title of the project or the type of project that they worked on. So remember, this is you in a nutshell: skills, personality, think about all those things when you're putting your resume together. Another thing I want to talk about is keywords. Now, think about the adjectives that you're using when you're describing yourself, describing your skills, your soft skills, your hard skills. Think about the keywords that you're using, but also avoid the buzzwords that people don't want to see. If I see multitasker and hard worker and passionate, those are the three things I see on every resume, and I'm like, Jesus, of course you're passionate. You're working in film because you're entering a torturous industry. You are definitely not going to have to put those things on there. And if you are in this world today, of course you have to be a hard worker. You just have to be. If you put a resume together and you're submitting it, that tells me you're at least working hard to put that together. So let's just avoid the things that is very, very common on a lot of resumes. The next thing I want to make sure you do is show personality. And this does not apply. This does not apply when you are doing corporate resumes or you're submitting to the AI bots on those like, Indeed or their company career page or whatever. So you have to make sure that you're showing your personality, but not on those. So for this, a human being is looking at it. If a human being is looking at it, I want to see things about you that pop out. The font choice that you use, color choice, textures, the way you're laying out, the format that you're using for your resume. All that is going to tell a story about who you are as a person. Are you bold? Are you confident? Are you a little bit more demure, as I would say? Or, are you a little bit more light-handed? Do you have a bold personality? All these things can be conveyed with fonts, colors, texture on your resume. Make it quick to read is my next one, because I think that the paragraph form, people really get obsessed with trying to really elegantly and eloquently and using like a lot of filler words and stuff like that, where you're just going on and you're just like really fluffing up your resume. And you don't need to be a bullshitter. Be a straight shooter when it comes to film resumes. You need to make sure that you get to the point and be sweet, simple, concise, say what you need to say. Obviously, word choice is going to be really, really big here. Yes, use fucking ChatGPT if you need to like, hey, make this sound more concise and pack it with more of a punch. I don't know. Do what you need to. Put the right prompts in, because it's like, I know writing isn't everyone's strong suit, but use the tools to your advantage. Make it quick to read. Avoid sentence structure, big paragraphs. If I look at a resume and I see paragraphs upon paragraphs, I do not want to see it. I don't want to read it. And if I don't want to read it, I'm not going to want to keep looking at it. If I don't want to keep looking at it, then your chances of getting hired get lower and lower and lower. So that just leads me to my next one, avoiding paragraphs. If your resume looks like an essay, this is the wrong direction. I don't want to say that. I don't want to straight out be like, this is what the wrong thing you're doing. But there's a right way, a wrong way, and to avoid to avoid eyes and to attract eyes, right? So there's different things that you could be doing if you want the right results. Make it pretty, make it easy to read, and avoid paragraphs. I don't want to read paragraphs on paragraphs about like your life story. I want an about me section, but I don't want it to be half the page. Okay, guys? All right, so I'm going to jump into the first. Oh, thank you so much. Hey, you are my inspiration. Thank you so. Oh my God, I feel so flattered. That's like such a big. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I will get to chat. So if you have questions, let me know. Also, if your resume is here to be reviewed, definitely let me know that you're here because I may have some questions for you. The first one that I'm going to do is Carlos. So Carlos, I hope you're here. We're going to jump into resumes now. If you have questions, I welcome them, and there are no dumb questions. I'm going to say it. There's no dumb questions. I'm going to try and manage my voice because I haven't done a live stream in a hot minute, so I really got to make sure I keep my voice to the end of these resumes. Okay, so Carlos has experience, and this is going to be something that is very different from those starting out. So if you are just starting out in film and you have no experience, this resume is going to look very, very different. Now, this resume right here, Carlos's resume, looks very, very similar to something that I had when I was a key PA and I was a PA that had a lot of credits. This is the format. So take note, this is the format. Now, I would change a lot of things here to make it better. I'm going to change a lot of things here. I'm going to change some things, so we are going to mention it. Okay, Chris is here. Great, perfect. So this resume is the format that you want if you have credits, meaning you have a lot of things to show for. You are definitely, this is the thing. And I cannot stress this enough. People are like, yeah, but I want to make it my own. Once you have credits and you are on the path for, let's see, I'm going to take Carlos as the example here, is that his goal was to get from PA to AD. That is his goal. That's his goal. So ADs, assistant directors, want to see this resume. This is the resume that you want to build. And I'm not saying you have to use the same font. I'm not saying you have to use the same thing, layout exactly, but this is basically the foundation of what ADs, myself included, want to see from PAs who are applying to staff jobs or when we get past a resume from someone. I don't want to see something fucking crazy where it's like, we want to see two basic things, right? And he has bolded the things that I want to see. For example, I think, yes, no, he's exactly right. So with your position, he has it in the exact right spot, leftmost side of the page. Now, the one thing I'm going to say about the leftmost side of the page is that if you are writing in English, we read left to right. Therefore, the left side of the page is going to be prime real estate. Our eyes are going to go there first. So you want to make sure vital information is going to be there in that spot and it's bolded. So what pops out off the page is going to be additional Set PA, additional Set PA, additional Set PA, like you're seeing on the screen here with his resume. This is perfect. This is exactly what I want to see. Now, the next thing that's bolded is the show title. Now, when I was talking to a couple of UPMs and a couple of ADs, key second ADs, the one thing they said is that the one thing I would just want to see on resumes is I want to see the position you were, and I want to see right away the show that you worked on before. Those are the top two things. And if you save anything from this live stream, anything from this resume review, know that those are the top two things that people want to see. What position you were in and what show did you work on previously. Not the company, not the ADs you worked for, which we'll get to that in a little bit. Like, those are the top two things. Those two things are the most important things that should be bolded and should pop up right away when I'm looking at your resume. So Carlos, great job for doing that. Now, the next thing I see is we have a TV series. Yes, you want the type of project, and this sometimes gets lost on some resumes. They forget to tell me what type of thing, and I think that's very important because how you make a feature is very different than how you're going to do an episodic TV show. And that's very different from a commercial. And that's very different from a music video. And that's very different from a documentary. All these formats, all these types of projects have different ways of doing, or performing and how they are going to get those projects done. So they're all very different. So the type of project that you want is going to have to be on there because it tells a lot about, the experience you have. So, and then we have NBC. Now below his the first experience line, additional Set PA, we have the ADs. This is exactly what we need to see. We want to see the ADs you worked for. Now, down below, we're going to go right to the bottom. He has references upon request. We can take that off. So, Carlos, we can take that off. We don't need that. Of course they are, right? Of course they are available upon request. And the reason for that is because I'm an AD, and I want to see the ADs you worked for. One, because I want to see the style of ADs you've worked for. Also, I may know some of those ADs because the DGA and AD, that community, is pretty small. And the chances are that I know one of them is fairly large. It's a large percentage. And I'm going to reach out to that AD that I know, and I'm going to say, hey, what did you think about Carlos? And they're going to tell me. So we can get rid of references upon request. Let's see. Do I know anyone on your resume? Let's see. I may not. You may not be in the same area. No, yeah, you're in Chicago, so I don't know any of these people. But the great thing is that you have the same ADs. Like, you have some of the same ones. So that means that you have been rehired, which people love to see. Now, I would say ADs that have a bit more of critical thinking look at a resume and be like, oh, these are, every time they have a credit, they have a new pair of ADs, which means they've been bouncing around and no one wants to rehire them. That shows me a pattern of, what's wrong with you? Why are you not being rehired from, that one last job? And I was happy. One of my AD friends brought that up when she looked at her resume, and then I looked at my resume like, okay, good. I have I have people who have rehired me, and you can see the same names on my resume. Okay, so a lot of right things here. Now, I would move education down to the bottom. This is something that's not going to be important, unfortunately. Once you start having more and more credits, you should just move education down to the bottom. The only time you would keep education there is if you're probably still in school or if you are applying to an internship. This is probably the only time I want to see education. I know Sanika. That's a dope name, by the way. So education should go down to the bottom. Not as important as we all want to, because I know we've paid a lot of money in loans, and college is not cheap, so I understand. You're like, I want to make sure my education pulls its weight, but sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes it does, because I've gotten hired because of the AD that hired me was an alumni to the school I went to, and because it was on my resume. So education just go down to the bottom. And professional memberships. Now, this is controversial. I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with this. You being a 111 IATSE member, there's nothing wrong with that. But some ADs might have a problem with that, because then if some shows are not going to be paying their PAs that union rate, then it could be a problem. But I mean, listen, be union proud. I'm not putting that I'm a DJ member on my resume. So I mean, I get it. Okay, so now the one thing I really want to change is that as you guys can see, there's a lot of space at the bottom. So there's room for you to play with here. You have some credits, which is great. I love the fact that you formatted these credits perfectly. This is exactly what you should be doing, but let's fill some of the space. Let's use this to your advantage. Okay, Carlos, let's do that. Let's see. Let's start at the top. Carlos, let's start with your name. Let's use a font that you like. I see maybe this is like Playfair, or I'm not really sure exactly. I think it is, because I use this font a lot. Let's play around with some fonts. Give yourself a font that you like. Play with your name. Make your name bigger, first and foremost. Your name is so small here. Let's make that a little bit bigger. And then let's give an about me. You can do that. And I think the fact that you told me you wanted to go from PA to AD is a really, really good thing you could say, that you were on the AD track, because ADs love hiring PAs that want to be ADs. Fun fact, we'd rather hire a PA that wants to be an AD over a PA that wants to be a director or a writer. And there's nothing wrong with that. We still hire people that want to aspire to those things. But if you want to be an AD, we know you're going to be locked in, focused, more paying attention to how we work. And then we also can mentor you and train you and all this stuff. So it's just a better match. And so if you express your interest, that you want to be an AD, this will work in your favor. So I would put an about me professional summary or personal summary or something like that right below your name and email there. So I would definitely do that. Now, the one thing I would like to change is once we get down to your category headers, television, film experience, education, professional membership, skills, software, all those need to just be a little bit bigger, and they need to do what they're supposed to be doing, right? They're a header. And headers are usually standing out a little bit more, and it helps organize the page. So I want to make sure that your headers are not just blending in with all the other things. The great thing about your resume, what it's doing, is that I can see additional Set PA and Chicago PD right out the top. But there's a lot of clutter because things are not varying in size. It almost looks it's maybe like one font size bigger, but not that much bigger where it's helping my eyes organize the page. So I just want to, let's see, I wouldn't bold it necessarily because it might take away from your additional PA being bolded in Chicago. You have to play with some of these things. But yeah, definitely make your category headers a little bit bigger and give it some space. Maybe like play with your margins a little bit here too, like the spacing, the line spacing a little bit. Because I just want a little bit of space between your header and then where your experience starts. And let's see, going from there, I can't tell. No, yeah, it's like, okay, so I'm looking at your companies and how they're organized. And for the most part, you have things pretty aligned, but your Chicago Fire Season 14 TV series is off by like one space. So just by having one thing offset by one space, it like messes with my eyes. So you want to make sure you have clean lines and you check to make sure. And then the way you can do that is you can just do making sure that you tabbed over to a certain way, and then making sure there's no spaces in there and all that stuff, and deleting those spaces when you do find one. So yeah, I just want to make sure that I think that one line is definitely something that is the one that's off. Also, going over to the companies, NBC, Apple TV, and then NBC, either make them right aligned or make them left aligned. Follow your pattern. Try not to break your pattern too much. Okay, so going down to education, again, that goes down to the bottom. I mean, you don't need June 2017. You don't really need the dates. I mean, I'm a big advocate for not having dates, but that's just me. You can keep them if you like. They're not cluttering your resume, so you can definitely keep them. But since they're there in the company column, make sure that they're aligning with the companies above it. So make sure that whole side of the page is aligning together. Yeah, the membership one, it's kind of like 2003 to present. I don't think you need to say 2003 to present. You can just say professional memberships. I don't think you need a date, to be honest with you, because if I were to list my DGA membership, I don't think I've ever put a date to it. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're a member until you stop being a member, right? So I guess you can, once you leave 111 and you make it to the DGA, then you can just say DGA and not that, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to put a date to it, but that's just, I'm like nitpicking here. You don't have to have it. All right, let's go to skills. Video editing, video production, customer service, proficient in English and Spanish. This is great. So you're bilingual, and that should be like first. And that, I mean, the way you organize your skills, I would prefer it in a different way, because right now it looks like a sentence. In any way you can get away from sentence structure, you just want to get away from that and use bullets when you can. You haven't really used bullets here, so you could probably do that. On my resume, on my one-on-ones or resume reviews, I sometimes let them see my resume, what it looks like. And I just use like separate columns, so you can see like one word like columns, where it'd be like, for example, humor, empathy, pyrotechnical, blah, stuff like that. So I use one word descriptions when I can. So video editing, video production. So you're saying those are your skills, but if I'm an AD, why do I care that you can edit video? Not to be devil's advocate, but I mean, I honestly, like, why do I care that you can do on like video production? Like, what does that mean? So this is unneeded when it comes to who you're giving your resume to. So if you're giving it to an AD, I'm not going to care that you can edit on Final Cut 7. I'm not going to care that you know how to use Adobe Premiere and Photoshop and iNews and all these things. I'm not going to care about those things. What I will care about is, do you know what an Exhibit D looks like? Do you know SAG rules? Have you learned IATSE rules for crew? Are you familiar with a BG breakdown? Do you know how to use Movie Magic Scheduler? Because those are the things that I'm going to want to know, that if you're an AD, I expect you to be on the up and up of what ADs use for their softwares when they put schedules together, or, you know, what things there like scriptation is another one. So using those things, like knowing what software ADs use, get to know that software. I'm not going to care about any of that stuff like ProVenue, like Salesforce. I'm not going to care about that stuff. So this is to say that you want to make sure that you're tailoring your resume to the people who are going to be looking at it. Now, if this is a PA resume going to an AD, you want to make sure that you're giving the ADs what they want to see. And customer service is one of those things. So that's good that you put that there. You can definitely put more skills here. You can put more skills there. Like, I know you got more. Is there leadership? Is there time management? Is there scheduling? Is there crowd control? There's so many things that you can tell me about yourself that you have. Universal skills. Soft skills are universal skills that you can use in any job, and that will be useful. Like customer service is definitely a universal skill because you're going to deal with people. So keep in mind, don't be afraid to weigh heavy on the skills. You have the room, so I say definitely utilize the room. Software, again, unless it's Movie Magic, Synapse, Excel, Word docs, depending on where you are, because I know some people use Word docs to make call sheets. These are the things I want to know you know how to use, BG breakdowns and all that stuff. Like, I want to know that you know how to use those things, because when you start getting up to the key PA or paperwork PA, you're going to have to know how to use Excel. So that's something I definitely want to make sure you know to put on your resume. And again, references upon request, definitely take those out. So play with the name, make it bigger, use a font that you like. I would love to see an about me here, make your headers a bit bigger, help organize. And then even after that, you can give me unrelated work experience where maybe you were a barista or a bartender or whatever it was, or you can list some of your previous job history, because people are going to want to know where you came from and be like, oh, and I got this question when I was interviewing for a walkie PA position. The AD asked me, have I ever been a waitress or a server, waitress, bartender, or a barista? And I was like, yes, yes, I have. And that was something that worked in my favor. So just making sure you talk about other things you've done, because it could help get you hired. Okay, so, oh my god, you keep getting ads? Dude, I don't know, man. I can't really control my ads. They're just supposed to just automatically do them. Sean, I am sorry. I have no idea why they're giving you so many ads. I'm not sure. It could be because you're from another country. I'm so sorry. Okay, so we're going to move on to Chris, right? Chris, you're still here? Let's see. We're moving on. Okay. So Chris is a different, the goal for Chris is different. And I love getting, the PA resumes, because that's the bread and butter. I do that all the time. But for Chris, the goal was, get scripts read and a manager, right? So, like this, Sean, good. Chris, I'm glad you're still here. Okay, so with Chris being from Phoenix, I think this is fine. Things are shooting in Phoenix, and plus also you can be a writer anywhere, whatever. Objective's going to be your first problem. Now, changing with the times, we don't use objective anymore. Objective is like dating yourself unintentionally. Us millennials have to definitely make sure we're not putting that on a resume. So objective, I would change to personal summary, professional summary. But, so your goal with this resume is to get people to read your work and to get representation. And unfortunately, a resume isn't used for that, you have to start angling toward different types of documents. A resume is good to have, but here's the thing, is that when you are meeting people and when you are having conversations and networking, whatever, the resume comes way later. But it's not opening doors, unfortunately, in this regard. So I would say, before I get into making this a better document, a better, resume, I would say that you would need to focus on, I'm going to scroll down because you have online presence, you have publications, current projects, stuff like that. Like, you have things ready to go, web series, novels, documentaries, and your achievements. And this is fine. This is all fine and good. You need to take this document and make a one sheet. This is going to be your writer bio one sheet. And this is what I need you to create, not a resume. Your bio, writer, profile, one sheet is going to have sometimes you might not have a picture, but picture helps when you have a one sheet, right? You need more images, you need more colors, you need to help. I hope this is not the place to talk about one sheet right now, but Google one sheet, get some examples, follow that, and, get this going. Because your bio is not necessarily going to be a bio one sheet. It's going to talk about you, what your preferences are, what your writing style is, and things that you have accomplished, and you can put your work on there. Also, you would have links to, your flagship script. For example, when you meet or talk to anyone, or you are maybe running in a conversation to write something for someone, and they want to see an example of your writing, this is the thing that you're always going to give them, the first thing. Like, it's not even your best work, but it's something that it's like, yes, this makes people want to read more of my work. So your flagship script, have that ready. That's like the first thing you're going to give somebody. And then going down the line for what you might be looking for, or what things you are looking forward to. Those are also some things to have on your bio writer one sheet. So getting back to this, turning this into one sheet, you can probably, all of this information on your resume, definitely we can turn that into a one sheet. We just have to make it more aesthetically pleasing, get away from the black and white, make it a little bit more, because some people they're going to want to look at something that's going to appeal to them. Think of it like a pitch deck almost. We should be thinking about imagery along those lines. And also, if you have, you have documentaries. Sorry, I'm reading this. And this is why it's getting away from the sentence structure in general is just kind of, we got to get away from that. No matter what, no matter where you're going in film, resume, or whatever direction, we have to get away from the paragraphs and the sentences, because it takes me too long to read it, and for anyone, really. Creator of always, a musical journal to find true happiness. And so if you've created web series and novels, I'm going to assume that you have marketing materials for those things. So if you created a web series, I'm going to assume it's on YouTube. There's a thumbnail. Show me that thumbnail on that one sheet. Show me novel covers. Show me the certain award logos that are there. Whatever you can tell me with images, do it. Okay, so again, objective, not going to be there. Your bio is going to talk about your accolades. Your bio is going to talk about, sometimes it might be that you got a degree in writing somewhere or whatever. And then the novels and all the things you've worked on. Okay, objective, a seasoned award-winning screenwriter seeking to leverage my extensive experience in screenplay writing, film production, creative. We're getting rid of the objective anyways, but try to get specific. Try to get a little bit more showy, if I may. Use more adjectives. Use more adjectives when you're describing you in your work, because I feel like a seasoned and award. I've read lines like that, and they're a dime a dozen, and they're boring. So we have to somehow get a little bit more. You're creative. You're a writer. Let's right? So let's spruce up a little bit. Okay, so experience. The one thing I would do is your headers have to be a little bit bigger, make them stand out. the good thing about it is that it does help me with the page, but you're using too much space to where you got to a second page, and we know that's number one rule is one page only. So the great thing with you switching over to a bio one sheet is that you have achievements in screenwriting, right? And what you could do is you could take, optioned deliver the word, and then next to it you can have your log line, which I think that would be a really cool format where it would be like this thing that I wrote or competition I won, and then the log line next to it. Make sure that log line is good, okay? Because right now I'm doing the script competition, and resumes were due December 31st. I got 35 resumes, and I've organized all the scripts by their log line and by their title. And does it entice me to read? And this is the thing that is going to, for you as a writer, you need to be really good at making a good log line. Make me want to read that script, okay? And do this on your bio one sheet. That's cool. You're a finalist. I mean, I would even a quarter. I mean, these are all really great things that you have on there. I would even bold like finalist, like those I think should be bolded. There's got to be a way to organize this out into columns or into rows or something. Like, let's try and get away from the sentence structure. Now, if we go back to Carlos, we should take a page from his book because the way it's columned out, and I see information. We can do the same thing with your resume, Chris. We can or do the same thing with like when you start to structure your bio one sheet where it's like your achievements in writing, finalist, quarterfinalist, all that stuff. You can really make it really stand out and pop and not be in the sentence structure. And you have documentaries, web series, Creative Always, a musical journey. I kind of like, just the title on that sounds kind of cool. Authored articles, current project, billionaires suck, a screenplay about. So yes, we have to get rid of paragraphs, sentence structure. Make sure we have to make this easy and quick to read, but you are going to transition a resume into a writer bio one sheet and make it nice and pretty. So I don't usually do those, but if you want to send that to me, definitely I can review that for you. Chris, let me know if you have any questions. But if not, we're going to move on because this is hard for me to kind of like deep dive. But you know what? I'm going to do the professional summary. Let's do that because you have an objective and then a professional summary. Like I know what an objective is, but I feel like we can get rid of the objective professional summary. Okay. An accomplished screenwriter with a proven track record of writing compelling narratives that engage diverse audiences with a strong background in script writing, production, and storytelling. I mean, if your resume says you have a strong background in production and storytelling, what productions have you worked on? Because I want to see that then, if you're going to say that. If you're going to say that, I need to see it in your experience section, right? Because all you have is just, you said contributed to the production. How did you, in the documentary section, you're saying contributed to the, like, what the hell does that mean? That's so vague. How did you contribute? What position were you? What did you do? How did you contribute? This is what we need to get to. Let's see. Recognized as a producer? We're getting really vague here. Try not to be vague. If you are putting a resume or whatever and you're describing yourself, don't be vague. Lay it down. Were you a producer or were you not a producer? Right? Recognized as a producer? What does that mean? I know there's some gray areas and people are like, well, I wasn't a producer, but I kind of acted like it and people called me one. So we need to, if people saw you as a producer and then you kind of were like the producer, well then say you're the producer or maybe you can say associate producer or something. Recognized as a producer sounds really vague and it's really like, what does that mean? Extensive experience in creating, developing, pitching compelling story ideas for film. So you keep telling me that, but I feel like, are you telling me what you did? Are you telling me like what you created and stuff like that? Because if you did, wait, did I see Buffalo? Hey, you went to UB. Buffalo's in the house. I didn't know that. I looked at that now. Okay, so if you're telling me up there that you extensive experience in creating, developing, pitching compelling story ideas for film and television, if you worked in film and development, you should be telling me your experience, and I don't feel like I see it in there. right? Because if you tell me extensive experience, I'm looking for extensive experience in your experience session. And if it's not there, it's not there. And then that means you're lying. I'm not saying you are. It just seems like, you're portraying as if you are. Okay, so my work spans various genres. Okay, so this is what I want to say. Do you like to write certain things? Is there something that you prefer? Because here's the thing, is that I know my one friend just told me the other day, she's like, if some famous director or whatever was like, if you can direct comedy, or her acting coach or something, I don't know, was like, if you can direct comedy, you can direct any genre. But you might prefer a certain genre, right? And that goes for writers too. Writers prefer to write certain things. So don't be afraid to get specific. Like, I like writing, or I prefer to write in the realm of post-apocalyptic zombie horror. I don't know, thriller. It's okay for you, especially horror and comedy. I like that you did say that, but you can start with that. I'm wondering, okay, so my work spans various genres, especially horror and comedy. I like that you did specify horror and comedy, but is that your preference? Or is that just what you fell into? I think that matters. Have completed many projects from documentaries to web series, showcase my versatility. Okay. Tell me in your experience, right? If you tell me below here, and this is where resumes go wrong. If you tell me in the sections below, which should only be really from here to there, right? From here to there, if we're sticking with one page, don't tell me what you're going to tell me. When you get to your professional summary, I want to make sure that you are telling me something that I don't know, and when I get to your experience, that's going to back you up. So you try not to be repetitive, because we have one page to tell your whole story in, so we don't want to be repetitive. Okay, let's... Contribute to production. Yeah, that contributed to production. Like, I need titles. I need specific things. I need, like, to, try, if anything, everyone try not to be vague or fluff, or, like, just say what it is, right? Remember being concise and being specific. Okay, so I'm going to move on. I think I've kind of hammered this down a little bit. Chris, if you have any questions, definitely email me at beyondfilmschool@gmail.com. And if you decide to make a writer bio one sheet, absolutely highly recommend. Definitely do it. I'll take a look at it and be like, yeah, yes, yay or nay. It is not my specialty. It is not. I just want to say that. It is there's probably a number of people out there who do that for a service, but I'll let you know if it's like kind of on the right track. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to Everardo. I believe I'm saying it right, and I love this resume. If you were here, let me know. I don't know. Now, this looks exactly like my resume, and I don't know. I don't know if you just followed my format, which I'm like very flattered, and I'm not mad at it. This is almost, I will say, almost exactly like what I got. There are some, I'm going to make my screen bigger, because, let's see. All right, so I love the color choice. Love color. Here's the thing, is that when we went from, let's take a look at Carlos. We'll take a look at Carlos, and I did have almost this exact format. And then I was like doing resume reviews, and I was like, you know what? I should use color. Why am I not using color? I'm not boxed in. And I just kind of like had like an epiphany. It was like, I can do whatever I want with my resume, even with me having experience and being, management level? I don't know what you call it, but a higher level in my career. So we go back to Everardo and the color choice at the top. I love it. I want to look at the page longer because I like this color, and I like the ombre gradient here. Now, I would say probably even do a little either more gradient or make it one solid color, but I kind of just like how this is messing with my eyeballs a little bit. I like looking at it. It almost feels like it's moving for me, so I like it. All right, so I like that you have assistant director and producer. Those can be in the same realm. I know that you said that your goal was to do AD line producer. Now, producer and line producer are two different things. I would specify line producer. Absolutely. So make sure you're putting that on there. I like how you laid out your information, your phone number, your email, and then you have a clickable like portfolio website. That's great. Like you don't have that ugly long URL that I hate seeing in resumes. That's great. Assistant director experience. There's no, we don't. When you get to this level, about me, professional summaries, we take those out because your resume is speaking for you now. Your experience is saying all the stuff it needs to say. Now, let's see. Okay, now getting into the nitty-gritty of your experience section. There's almost too many fonts. Right? I like how first AD is bolded and then the title of the project is bolded. It's in quotes, it's italicized, which is perfect. Then you have Rising Light Studios, but then underneath all those short films, you don't have the company, and it makes it look like information is missing and you don't know it. Now, I know what happens with short films. I know exactly what happens when short films, you and a bunch of friends got together or whatever. No one really had a production company. We just got together and made a short film. I get it. I know exactly what this is. Make a company up, whether it's the director's last name films or the producer's last name productions. I don't care what it is. Put something there, and there usually is a company sometimes. And when I had this problem, I was always asking, the director or producer, like, "Oh, do you have a production company?" And then I just put it on the resume. So either, yeah, you got to fill it in. I was gonna say take it away, but don't take it away. I would say fill it in with something. Definitely fill it in with something. Okay, so if you're first, yes, you should have your director and producer. That's perfect. If you had a UPM, I would put the UPM. Line producer, yeah, okay. Yeah, if you had a production manager, you definitely put those on there. Because you have producers and you have line producers and director. The production manager, definitely put that there for those. I'm trying to think of. Because your first AD is the same font as the line below it seems. And then feature, hint, and rising light is the same font, it looks like, as well. It's almost like font choice shouldn't change in the same line, if that makes sense. So first AD, feature, hint, and then rising light studios, that would all be the same font. And then the line below it would be a different font, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay. Now, I'm just nitpicking here, but there's a lot of fonts happening here. It just makes me feel like there's way more than there really are, because there's only really two. Okay. Let's see. Producing experience. Now, what I will say is when you are applying to a first AD job, yes, the assistant director stuff goes at the top. If you're applying to a line producer job, then we're going to flip those. So you have to make sure you're tailoring it who you're going to send it to. So, and this is what I do all the time. So if I have a resume and it's going to let's just say a line producer, and I'm the first AD, and I'm trying to be a first AD or the producer or director or whatever, obviously all my first AD stuff is going to be at the top. And then I have another resume where it's like, oh, I'm going to be hired as a second or key second, and the first AD is hiring me, so therefore I'm going to put all my, key second, like it would be flipped. I want them to know still that I have first AD experience, but I'm going to make sure that I put the most relevant experience at the top. Okay, so producing experience. I love how it is divided up. It's perfect. Line producer, short film, hot stuff. This is perfect. Director. I like how you still put director there. Remember, we still kind of want our company name if we can. Okay, so getting down to skills is where everything gets a little bit smaller. Be careful, don't go past 9 or 8 point font. That is when you're going to start. I mean, it looks smaller here because I've had to normally it's going to be a little bit bigger, but here it's kind of had to condense it to the length. Okay, so skills, we're getting into a sentence structure, which I would recommend against. We don't do this. Make sure to stay in bullets or columns or something, even though I know that the top portion of your resume with your experience is used with bullet points. And what I did was I would just use columns without bullet points, but it was really quick to read when I went to my skills section. So professional, work organization, collaborations, interpersonal communication, love that. Customer service, love that. Decision making, problem solving, all these things are amazing. I love all the things that you mentioned there. Perfect. Technical movie method scheduling, yes. Which I highly recommend Synapse. I'm just saying. They got acquired by Workbook, but Synapse is like such a superior scheduling program. I can't say enough about them. All right, Movie Magic scheduling, Microsoft Office, Google Drive, perfect. Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve. So now you're getting into the realm of like things you don't really need to say, but that's fine. I mean, you're putting it at the end. You're just like kind of filling in the space, and that's fine. Production skills, pre-production, documentation, review, intermediate cinematography, time management. Intermediate cinematography? That kind of comes out of nowhere. I feel like I think that obviously production skills, I get that, but like it might be a throwaway because if they're thinking about you as an AD or a line producer, they're going to be like, cinematography? What? This is another resume for that, unfortunately. Script coverage, editing, location scouting, film criticism, legal contracts. Like, those things make sense. Like, the time management, script coverage, editing, maybe not. Location scouting, yes. Film criticism, yes. Legal contracts, yes. Because as a producer, line producer, sometimes you need to kind of be like, hey, we need to be doing this. You're going to make creative decisions. So that makes sense. And language, bilingual in Spanish. This is great. Education, squeezing it in there as usually. I think I took my education off, actually. Did I take my education off? I think I might have taken my education off my AD resume, actually. So all in all, this is a great resume. I don't have much to say about this resume. So let's see. I'm going to go to the chat really quick. Chat. Got a lot happening here. Okay. Yo, I'm so sorry about those ads, Sean. Obi-Wan, I'm so sorry. Okay. Great. Chris, thank you for submitting your resume. I mean, first of all, I must thank everyone who put their resumes in. I have one more resume to go because it is hard to put yourself out there and to be just open and show your resume to the world. Yes, information was redacted, but it's still like a vulnerable, like, oh, everyone's going to see my stuff, you know? So I get it. So thank you so much for submitting your resumes. Okay, so Everardo, I hope I'm saying your name right. If you have questions, let me know. I think you have a great resume. I don't really have too many notes, just a couple tweaks. I think this is great. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to Rachel. Rachel, if you are here, let me know. Gotta hydrate. Okay. All right, moving on. Now, I say this for last because there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on. If you will, we're going to do a little test. If you are and you're watching this with me, if you're watching this live stream, let me know your first impression of this resume without even getting into the information. How do you feel? How do you feel about this resume? There's a lot happening here. I gotta like take it in. First impressions don't take that long, you know. It's like, whew. For me, this is a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of information happening here. Okay. Ooh, okay. So I like the endorsement at the bottom, but okay, where do I start? So this is actually a problem, right? I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know what to choose to pick to. I could just go down the line. Okay, we're just gonna start at the top, on the left side. I like how the resume is divided up. I like how there's 2 columns and they're not even columns. I love that. You know, it's a 2/3 and a third. I love that. Now, Rachel, I love that your name is nice and big. Your information below it is fine. I like that. Sometimes the information in this format, what I normally see is like you have your name, and then in the black column next to it, you would have your information there. So this is a preference. I'm just saying. Sometimes I see it like that. Oh, thank you so much, Chris. Okay, so production services manager is bolded. And then we have production coordinator and post-production specialist. Oof, you got the Chat GPT dash in there. Guys, if you're going to have Chat GPT help write things for you, you got to take out the Chat GPT dash. Now, the dash that Chat GPT uses is different than your dash in your keyboard. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I will notice, and other people who are reading your resume are going to notice. And it just, like, we're all using AI to help us write better, which I guess does equate to redder. We all know that we're using Chat GPT and AI services and tools to help us write better sentences, emails, posts, descriptions, all these things. But when we see it on something that's submitted to us, we're like, it just does something to us. Take that dash out, for the love of God. Use a comma. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why Chat GPT uses that dash, but it's a signifying element. It's a symbol that tells me that you use Chat GPT and you didn't do it yourself, and no one wants that impression. Okay. Production coordinator and post, and why is it in quotes? Why is that sentence in quotes? I genuinely have a question. M dash? Thank you, Obi-Wan. M dash? M dash? Where do you even put that? I don't even know how to put that on my... Listen, I get educated every day. I love learning new things, though I had to use it a lot in my poetry this last semester. Oh, good to know. Let's see. Production coordinator and post-production specialist. Scheduling, budgeting, client liaison for commercials and indie films. I think that you can... Wait, so you have that section, and then you have your profile on right next to it, and it says a seasoned film and media professional with 5+ years of experience. Get rid of 5+ years. I feel like I used to do this, and for some reason it doesn't fit. It doesn't sit well with people. In post-production, client relations with expertise includes context and delivering polished content for commercial and individual. I feel like you gotta pick one. I feel like, right? I think you put like a profile ×2, and you can go with either one. I like production coordinator and post-production specialist, scheduling, budgeting, and client liaison for commercial. I think that's fine, and I think that's perfect. If I'm hiring a production manager, that's exactly what I want to know. So I feel like maybe you can get rid of your profile and put that over there instead, and actually kind of get rid of production services manager, because you're a production manager. So yeah, I don't think you have to put service. I don't think you have to put service at all. Yeah. I'm definitely, we got to get rid of that profile over on the other side, because your experience is going to tell me all that stuff. In your profile, that little paragraph there is basically like, wait a second. Yeah, it's basically, you have a lot of experience. I see. You're like leveling up here. This is why there's a little bit more fluff. There's a little bit more of, we started like real confident, and I was like reading into all the things. Okay, so I think it's got to be one or the other. Experience includes supervising complex workflows, coordinating creative teams, and delivering polished content for commercial. And yeah, I don't even think you need that. For whatever reason, I don't like that, and you don't even need it. Okay, moving down to your experience. Now, your category headers can't be bigger than your name. And right now, I believe it looks like it's almost bigger than your name. It's bolder and bigger than your name. And then we go down the line. We go down to endorsement. It's not aligned with experience. Even though it's an endorsement, it's still a category header. And it's not all bold like your experience category header. And it seems to be the same font, but it's not the same format. You used all caps before, and now you're not using caps. So you want to make whatever format that you decide to use, make sure you stick with it. don't break your format. So you did it with endorsement, you did it with internship, and you did it with, internship is off too. So when you go to your category headers in the black column, which I would highly advise you to get away from black and white. I mean, myself included, I love black. I wear black every day, all day. That's all I wear. I don't usually wear any other color outside of like running. But on my resume, I put purple because that's my next favorite color. And if you like a color, definitely try and pick a color outside of red, because red is sending the wrong signals. So if you guys put red on your resume, take it off. So I would highly advise you to just use a different color to make it stand out a little bit more and get away from just the black and white. So you have profile, education, internship, skills. Now, the problem here is it looks like profile education is aligned, internship is not aligned, skills looks like it's aligned, but because internship is misaligned, skills looks misplaced. Also, the spacing between your category header and your information below it is not equal to each other. So that has to be fixed. And when you have, OB1, you are right. The education section looks upside down to you. You are correct, because I would get rid of high school information anyways. I would just get rid of that. We're getting into nitty gritty of the sections. But if I am distracted by spacing, misalignment, and these are the things that make me feel a little bit overwhelmed when I look at your resume, are those small things of misalignment and little dashes here and there and like gaps and things that are not even in equate. Because then once those things are equal to each other and the format is stuck, then I look past it. It's not bothering me, and I can look deeper into the information. So your category headers have to make sure they're all the same and they're aligned. Now, the category headers in the black column, move them over slightly. Gosh, I think education and profile are actually off too. Yeah, so where education is, that's kind of where the line you want to align with. You want to align internship, skills, and profile with education, with where education is. And then everything that is beneath it, the sub-information underneath each category, I would move it over to the right, not to the left. Does that make sense? Because then it's like you're losing the importance of the category header. And it's like disorganizing it just a bit, and it's kind of making my eyeballs crazy. Right, internship is also the only one that isn't in all caps as well. Like, that's why I said earlier where you're breaking your format with endorsement and internship. I don't know why you did that, but they should all be in all caps. If you want to stick with all caps, make sure you stick with the same format. All right, we're still messing with format here. I'm not trying to get into nitty gritty of information just yet. All right, so I'm going to move to the experience section. Okay, so we get a little crazy with the bullet points. Now, there's a couple ways you can save some cluttering. Because you have experience, and then right below that, you have a bullet point. And it says production services manager. I'm not sure. I have to look. Wait, you're in the New York area, I assume, right? Yeah, you're in this area. So I'm kind of questioning why you're saying production services manager. You can just say production manager. You don't have to say production services manager. Okay, so that shouldn't be bulleted. That should be bolded. And then beside that, to the right of production manager, would be Paladin Night Entertainment, the company you work for. You don't have to go a row down. You can utilize the space the other way, because I'm not going to want to see company, if it's over that way, that's fine. And if you want, because I know you have the date. Yeah, some of this information kind of gets lost a little bit. It kind of gets lost a little bit because it's like on the same line. So production manager, then maybe take the date all the way to the right, and then maybe it's you use, I never know what that symbol is called. Sean Martin, help me out. I know you, OP1 Martin, you know what that symbol is called, and I love using that symbol, and I forget what it's called. But then it's like use that for the company, and then all the way to the right would be the date, I think would be the best option. But then also another thing you're doing here, and it's pretty consistent, is that there's an extra space where your company name is. I don't know why, but we're going to fix that because you're going to take that and put it on the next, on the line above. So you're saving a line so you can space these things out, and you can make your font a little bit bigger because this is a lot of small font that I think should be just a little bit bigger. I mean, it could be because I'm over 40. I don't know. And I have glasses. I'm not sure. Okay, so your next thing is bulleted again. So those 3 bullet points don't make sense. So the first 2 things, even if you keep them on different lines, they should not be bulleted. Those should be bolded at least. Your production manager position, that should be bolded. Not the date, not the company. Okay, oversaw all production and post-production workflows, including scheduling, budgeting, crew hiring, local management. This is great. Try to get away from sentence structure as best as you can. Oversaw all production and post-production workflows, including scheduling. I mean, there's a way to definitely make that more concise without making it 3 lines of a sentence. Acted as the main client liaison. Were you or acted as? Like, you were the main client. Like, you know what I mean? When people are like, acted as representative, like, either you were or you weren't. Acted as means like you were a filler and you weren't there all the time, right? Either you were or you weren't. Okay, acted as the main client liaison and streamlined processes across 10 departments, cutting paperwork by... I like that, cutting paperwork by 75%. I mean, those are results. I love that. Keep that in there. And usually results is a corporate thing, but if a production manager tells me they cut paperwork by 75%, I'm going to love that as a producer. Okay, and then you have film instructor. Again, like, we have to get rid of those bullet points. We're going to bold the instructor. Taught editing. If you were a film instructor, you don't need to tell me that you taught editing, right? Because it's like film instructor. Then you can say course, or like, then you can give me you can say, you can give me like your course outline or whatever you want to say, like your overview of like editing, cinematography, post-production. Yeah, whatever you can do to get away from this sentence structure. Okay, so editing, writer, director. So writer, director doesn't have a comma, if I'm not mistaken. It's either writer dash or writer slash or writer comma director. Independent horror film, wolf lover. That should go under personal projects. It's because it seems like this is like something that was your own. And you would name your own production company then. And then you have production assistant. So here's what I'm going to propose is your production assistant 2020, get rid of those dates. Oh my God, 2025 to 2025. it just doesn't make any sense, right? So get rid of those dates. You can just say from 2020. If you want, what you could do is you can do like an overall date and be like, oh, from 2023 to 2025 or whatever. I would just get rid of the dates, to be honest with you. So your production assistant, were you a set production assistant? Run errands, communicated. Yeah, you were a set production assistant. Okay. Provided key on-set support by managing. Let's see. Yeah, you were a set production assistant. Make sure you put set production, because PA can be in any department. A set production assistant is a very specific PA. Let's see. Hard jewelry provided on. And you keep saying the same thing over and over again. Okay. This is what I was going to start with. And I got highly distracted by this bullet point. Is that production assistant, and then you're going to get rid of that descriptive line. First of all, it's set production assistant. Tell me what the name or client, say, for example, if you did a commercial, right? You have a commercial, Pluto, right? It's like, okay, the client was Pluto or whatever the merchandise was or whatever. So for example, I worked on a New Era commercial, and it was a Josh Allen New Era commercial. So I had to make sure to put like, I was first AD, and then it was commercial, and then it was a Josh Allen titles, right? And then it was new era client. So making sure that it's like you lay it out like set production assistant, then the type of project that it is, and then the client, which I believe might be Pluto. I don't really know what that is. Sorry. So then you can get rid of that run errands, communicate. Because I know what a set PA does on commercial. I know what we do. You know what I mean? Commercial, aperture light, commercial lids, commercial hard jewelry. Yeah. So that seems to be the client, and we need to separate out that information. Okay. Now, your endorsement. Lead post-production instructor. I want Robert's name to be a little bit bigger and get rid of that ChatGPT thing. Get rid of that dash. Rachel brings exceptional work ethic and enthusiasm to every project. She delivers high quality results through. The only other time that I have gotten a review or endorsement or there was something else, opinions about, was on one resume, and it was from Joe. He's a channel member, and he's also a Beyond Film School alumni. And I was like, I've never seen this on resumes. And then I was like, but I like this. For whatever reason, I like it. So I don't mind when there's an endorsement on a resume. I don't mind, but it has to be concise. There's got to be a way to shorten this. She has a sharp eye for detail, a solid technical understanding of filmmaking. Lead post-production. So this was your teacher, or this was a peer? This is hard. This is actually hard for me to kind of understand the relationship that you had with this person. So is it someone who hired you? Someone you worked for? Because your endorsement should come from someone you worked for. Or, yeah, I would say so for example, on a first ADE resume, I would say that a good endorsement would come from a director I worked with, because that would be an endorsement I would put on my resume. So I'm actually kind of confused, like the relationship between this person and you. So I don't know if there's any way to clarify that. Give them to every project. She delivers high quality results through strong research, development, editing skills, seamless with peers. I'm not sure this endorsement is like selling me on you being a production manager. And you want to make sure that whatever endorsement or opinions or about you things that you get from people, it's selling that you're good at what you do. And for me, I'm not sure it sells that you're a good production manager. Does that work for anyone else? Oh, right, Obi-Wan. I think it's the same name, isn't it? It might be. It might be the same name. Okay, so we've talked about this. The endorsement, I don't mind. You can shorten that, even though you are taking certain words out, but you are able to shorten when people give you like reviews or whatever like that, right? You can shorten them. Because I do that all the time with like Beyond Film School. If I use them, it's like sometimes it might be pretty long, and I do leave long ones on my website. There's a crazy long one from one of my alumni. But I was like, no, he's telling a story. I'm gonna let him tell the story, and I left it up there. But other times I'm like, oh, I want a little bit more concise. You can take certain sentences out. You can, put in ellipses or whatever. So yes, we went through the experience endorsement. Yes, make sure endorsement, you fix that formatting to match the experience category header. Okay, so going over to the black column, education should be at the bottom. I don't care what column you're putting it in. Education's always at the bottom because you have experience to speak for you. Obi-Wan, you're right. I was like, it was a B name, but I wasn't sure either. So we're taking out the high school education. We're going to leave in New York Film Academy. That's fine. Once you go to college, you get rid of your high school stuff. Internship. I don't mind that internship's there. Oak Ridge Media Production. Why is media and production lowercase? I think they need to be uppercased. And I think you need to tell me a little bit more about this internship. Like, what did you do there? Or take it out completely. I don't know if this is going to make or break the information you're telling me on your resume. Okay, so your skills section, I would definitely bring the skills section up below the profile, even though I did say that we don't really need that profile, because either you move your production services manager, that little blurb, from the white side and bring it to the black column. Let's see, technical skills, DaVinci Resolve. See, the way the skills is formatted, I don't particularly like it. It looks a little messy. There's too many dashes, and also the spacing around the dashes is not consistent. So if you're gonna do technical skills, bullet pointed out, right? Space. Production management skills, bullet pointed out. And then space other skills. For example, you don't have, then you have interpersonal or personal skills, right? Leadership, communication, problem solving, script reading, right? So you're mixing in hard skills, universal skills, you're mixing them in. You need to make sure like you're dividing them up nicely. So for example, your technical skills, you would put your Google Workspace, right, in your technical skills. Production management, script reading, not necessarily, that's kind of a technical skill if I'm not mistaken. So you want to make sure you're putting your skills in the right category. Then you have, lighting, camera, so if you want to, which I don't think you need on this resume, if you're really trying to go production manager, you shouldn't be highlighting camera and the types of cameras you've used. That's just my opinion. I don't think you need that. That's kind of like a waste of space. If you were a DP and you were a camera person, a camera operator, and you're, doing the DP track, then yes, I want to know what cameras you're familiar with. But here, not necessarily the case. I know that you're trying to tell me that you have production skills, but I think you're trying to be your goal was to be full-time at production studio, which this is a very rare thing. And the fact that you are a production services manager at this night entertainment is great, but that's not usually the norm. Usually we take on standalone productions and you'd be a production manager, but if you were providing production services, you wouldn't be the one renting equipment. It's good that you have camera knowledge, but you don't need to be the one that knows exactly all the things about the camera. That's up to your camera crew that you decide to hire. Okay, so production management, movie magic, scheduling, budgeting. I think you're burying the lead some of these. The things I want to know that you can do, because if you sold me at the top with this production coordinator and post-production specialist, scheduling, budgeting, client liaison for commercials and indie films, right? That sold me. So I was like, yes. So you tell me what budgeting stuff you use. Tell me, have you worked on certain budget films and production? So have you done $1 million? Have you done $5 million? So that matters when I'm hiring a UPM or production manager. Have you done half a million, right? The budget limit for you is going to be very, very important on your resume, because I'm not going to hire you for a $5 million budget feature if you've only done $500,000 budget feature, right? But if you have that experience, you want to make sure that you know that the producer that's hiring you to be a UPM or whatever, or if you're putting together budgets, these are all things that are very, very important. Like, staying to the budget is one thing. Creating the budget is a completely different thing. So if you've done both those things, that's great. If you've worked under certain budget lines, I would mention it. These are things you should be mentioning. All right, I think that's it. Rachel, when you watch this, I'm not sure you're on the stream, but when you watch this, let me know if you have questions. You guys definitely can resubmit for the next time I do resume reviews, anyone that submitted this time. For now, I think that's it. I have 4 resumes that are very, very different, had all different types of problems and great things about them. One thing I will say, Rachel, is that you have a lot going on here. Just try not to overwhelm me. Make sure we're making it quick to read and make me trust you. And so here's the thing is that if I'm hiring you to create a budget and your budget looks anything like your skills section, I'm going to be very upset. So just make sure that how you are working as a production manager, you show it on your resume. And hopefully it's good. I'm going to go to chat really quick. So thank you everyone for being here for this lovely live stream resume review. I'm going to do these once a month. So I will leave in my post section of my YouTube channel, I always leave the next resume review form there. You can always submit it. And if you guys want to resubmit, that's totally fine. You can utilize that. This is like, it's open. It's open for everyone. So thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Remember these resume tips, please. One page only. It's you in a nutshell. Be true to you. Show your personality. Use those nice keywords. Use those nice adjectives. Make it quick to read and avoid those paragraphs and long sentences. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I appreciate your time and actually participating, asking questions. And for those who submitted your resumes, thank you so much for submitting your resumes. Again, I can't thank you enough because you are being vulnerable. You are being brave for letting me give the first impression and honest feedback and what you need to fix. And I know that's very, very hard for everyone to do, to put themselves out there. So thank you so much for watching. That is it for now. I shall see you next time.